Let's talk about living in a small town, in a small city, like I'm living right now. I was born and raised in a small town, northeast in Brazil, and really far away from the capital. It's like 2 hours far away. In my city, we have like 15,000 people over here. It's not a lot of people compared to other city like the capital. Here we have like 1 million people, and I was born and raised here, so I was growing and develop myself, thinking and behave like people think and behave here. For example, when I was a kid in the school, I was playing football, and I hate football, but I was forced to play football in school because everybody was doing that. And if you don't do what everyone around you is doing, you will not feel well, because you will feel different, you will feel not a part of that group. But you there, you want to belong some group. When we talk about psychology, we talk about the way people think and feel and how they behave. When we talk about social psychology, we talk about those things, but the influence between individual and groups. But what about sociology? How sociology interfere in psychology or social psychology? Sociology is different from social psychology because in sociology we search about groups. When you have more than one individual, we can call a group. That group could be a small one, just 2 people, could be 3 people, 10, or even a family, even a school or company, or the entire country, or even the entire human species. So when we talk about social psychology, we talk about something that interfere the way people think and the way people behave. The individual think and the individual behave. How groups interfere in that. But when we talk about sociology, we stay with groups in different sizes. So sociology work with social structure, and that help you psychologists to understand better how families work, how education system interfere in the way people think and behave, how religion interfere. I'm not really a religious guy, but my mom go to the church 4 times a week. Most of their friends, they are from the church, and that interfere the way my mom think and act. What the people say in the church interfere in her thoughts. So when we talk about groups and how they interfere, we have some subjective groups that we can't see because they are not part of a physical place. They are not in the same place at the same time, but they are part of the same group because we have culture influence. Like, it's very common to be a Brazilian in love football, soccer, but I'm not too Brazilian when we talk about soccer because I hate it. I don't like it at all. Since I was a kid, I tried, but I had a lot of injuries and I didn't have skills to play soccer that interfere in the way I think, the way I feel about that kind of sport. And there's other things that interfere the way we think, the way we live. And we have not just good things in society to interfere, but bad things too. Some discrimination, prejudice and bad stereotype about groups that interfere the way we think and act. We have in social psychology a concept called cognitive missile. Cognitive missile means we save energy when we think. We try to not spend a lot of energy when we think about something. We avoid to use energy. It's like when someone talk about other people that that person don't know, they ask about that person and ask like what that person do, and depending on the answer, you start to thinking that person behave that way, that person think that way. For example, when people ask about me to someone else, they say that guy is a psychologist, and they start to think about how I am, the way I think. Usually they think I have a lot of patience. I can't wait. I talk not too long. I understand people. It's not completely true, but that helps you to think about another one that you don't know. So we create stereotypes because we are lazy to think. So we start to organize that kind of group in different ways, depending on the group you belong. So, and when we talk about inequalities, when we talk about gender inequalities and minority in general, we talk about the way a majority group think about the minority group and the way they act, and that helps us to understand why people act like that. And when we talk about those things that help you to understand and think about how sociology interfere, we talk about a lot of different things. Basically everything the human do create that interfere how people think, how people act. It's like if you wearing some expensive clothes, people think you belong to that group, you rich, and if you rich, probably you have a good education, you have a specific taste for food, you behave in that way. So technology, for example, is another thing to interfere the way we think, because there's a lot of influence. Uh, it always has something to interfere. Since we start to build new technology, since we build like car, that has some impression, social thing that change the way people think. For example, in a small town like I'm living, you have some value if you have a car. If you don't have, you are less important than when we compare to someone who has that car. And that thing is not just a conscious thing that happen automatically. That's my cat. It's doing noise. So, sociology help us to understand how people act and think, like they have a function in society. For example, I'm a psychologist. I work helping people treat like anxiety, depression, fear, and stuff like that. That's my role in society. And I have another role. I take care of my mom, so I'm a psychologist. I must to take care of people, and I'm a son. I have a mother, and I have to take care of her too. So everyone in society, depending on what you do, depending on the group you part, you belong to that space. You belong to that people, and you think like that, like them. And it helps us, like I was saying about cognitive mixer. We have that thing to help us to understand quickly about people we don't know, because we are lazy to think. Our body basically all alive, always alive, try to save energy. So our body work like that, and our brain work like that. And when we talk about the process to learn things, when we talk about cognition, we save energy in that process. So that help us to save energy, but in another way, it's easy to make a mistake. For example, when you see someone who is homeless, you start to think that person don't have a good education, and sometimes we are wrong, because the reason for being in that situation could be everything, and that person could be a person with a high education, when but they are in that situation. So but we have this kind of stereotype to help us to understand the place everyone belong. And when we do research, like I was doing my master degree, we know that people usually they don't express things that our society don't like. Like we have social norms and law, of course, that stop people to, or just must to stop people to discriminate, to express prejudice and stuff like that. And if you don't have that kind of social norm, we have more discrimination and prejudice to see. That doesn't mean when we have social norm, we have less prejudice or discrimination. No, that means we have less expression. They don't say, they don't show so easy. And when we do research, we have to build a strategy to know if that person has that kind of thing, that kind of stuff. It's not easy at all because you can't ask directly. You feel prejudice against that kind of group or not. They will not say because we have the norm, social norm, and that thing force people. It's like a social fact to stop people for doing things or express things. And we have some problems in our society, economic problems. We have poverty. We had, and sometimes we have, unfortunately, people who work for almost nothing just for surviving, and that kind of inequality has an effect in our mental health, in general our health, because if you have less money you have less opportunity to buy healthy food, and everything doesn't work so well. And as a psychologist or a clinical psychologist or a social psychologist, we must understand the situation that person is living. For example, for a woman who have to raise kids and don't have a good job for doing that, or anyone to help, it's not easy to get out of depression or a decreased level of anxiety. It's not easy at all, because if the environment is not that healthy, there's not too much we can do. So that interfere in psychology stuff. So there's a lot of theory that help us as a psychologist to understand better the situation that person we are trying to help is. And for now, that's all.